Alright, so back here on the 78 Toyota pickup, I got pretty much everything gutted that I needed to gut for now, and then working on some of the rust repair. So I got like my bender out, which I'm not very good with, and pretty much every tool I got is out at this point. I got a real mess. Even had to get the air hammer out for chopping up some of the rust. And yeah, hilarious. Pretty much everything. And yes, I got red tools, yellow tools, and green tools. I don't have any blue tools except Harbor Freight blue. I don't have any Makita stuff. I do have several sheets of steel that I picked up recently. I got a bunch of gauge here. So I got some thick 16, and then I got some 18 and even some 20, which is the 20 is what I'm using currently, because it's thinner and it's easier to work with, and I got like crappy bends for the floor that I'm not very good at, but at least with the 20, it's easier for me to move it around. So to give you an idea of what I had going on, so this is the passenger side, and I noticed from the last video the lighting when I'm under here is terrible, so I got the light going. All right, so you can see there that the inner rocker is pretty well wasted, and then this is, you know, on the driver's side, I got all this cut out, but there's the inner rocker here that's rotted out, and then there's some kind of like L bracket here, and then that's what the cab mount is actually hooked to. And so, you know, originally I was hoping that maybe I can just replace the floor with like 16 gauge, and you know, I mean, none of this is attached, so you know, the cab hasn't fallen off and it's not even attached. And so, you know, whatever. But like I got to looking at like, okay, well, the inner rocker's toast anyway, so I might as well start repairing some of that stuff. And, you know, instead of just relying on one panel up on the top, I'll basically replicate what's going on here. So there'll be, you know, the inner rocker, there'll be the floor pan, and then there'll be, you know, you can see this is the L bracket piece that comes here, goes up above, and then all the way to here. And then this is the floor pan piece. And so I'm just replacing the inner with 20. I'm doing the floor at 20. And then this L bracket piece that'll tie it all together, I'll probably make this out of 16. And so what I'll probably end up doing is I'll get the floor all welded in, and then I'll bend up a bracket here, and then I don't know that I may or may not drill the holes and get it mounted. And if I do, I might drill them out a bit big, because, you know, if I bolt in that side and I still got all the other ones to do, I just don't want to have any cab fitment issues later. And so, you know, this is what I was dealing with on the driver's side. It looked basically the same. And then if we come over here, get the light set up. So here you can see that, you know, all of that, you know, L bracket thing, I've, you know, pulled that off. It was just spot welded on the sides here. And that's what I had the air hammer for, was to rip that out. And then there was the hole inside the inner rocker. And so I just patched that and welded that little panel in. This was just a rectangle, so that was easy. Fortunately, you can see the rest of this inner rocker looks pretty good. The passenger side's all Swiss cheese, but this one doesn't look too bad. It's terrible on the other side and the fender, and so I'll be getting back inside here anyway to do some other repair on the inside. There's a couple of captured nuts here that I was a bit worried about, but I didn't want to take this fender off because the fender mounts to the firewall, which then mounts to the front of the car, and that is actually, I think, the reason why the cab hasn't fallen off. And so I don't want to take any of that structure out until I get this squared away. And then you can see my new panel here. So this is the new floor pan that I'm fitting in, and then these are the sheet metal tabs that hold that sheet metal flush right there. And we'll go up top and take a look. So I don't need to be under there anymore. So I'll try to weld it as best I can like that. But I know that once I feel pretty good about the structure, then I'll be taking the cab off of the frame anyhow. And so like I know there's going to be some spots underneath that I won't be able to get good weld on from up above, and then the frame's in the way, and that mount and everything else is in the way. And so I'll get it tacked in real good and do as much welding as I can up above, but I know I'm going to have to come back once the cab is separated from the frame. And then you can see in here, some of these gaps look terrible. The reason for this tab on this side, and there's a corresponding tab on this other side, is that, one, it gave me a way to have some, slop in here, that I could have a gap on this side and try to get it lined up in this crazy ass, terrible gap here. Like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing, so, I'm just figuring it out as I go. And so I got all this crap that I'm trying to get dealt with. And then what this means is, like, once I get all that stuff tacked in, is I can just pound this in place. And what's good is this being welded to the rest of the cab will kind of give me some lateral structure on that. And so not only does it give me a bit of fudge there, but it also means it kind of helps hold that in place. Same thing up in this corner. There's actually a brace that runs up along this edge, and then this corner has a tab on it just like the other one, and I'll be able to hammer that in, fill in this space here, and then weld it to that brace. And so instead of it just being butt welded all the way around and then probably oil canning and moving around and stuff, with these tabs that are on the sides all along this edge and then getting welded to that brace, it should be nice and stable. And then also remember there's that L bracket that's going to be under here anyway for the cab mount, so it should be plenty strong. So a couple things I'm going to do. I'm going to get all this where I got my sheet metal tabs in place. I'm going to get a bunch of good tacks all around here, all along this side. I can get a couple up in here, and then I'm going to have to try to bend stuff down, and I'll get it lined up as best I can, and then maybe get out the air saw and cut a little bit out that I need to in order to try to get it as flush as possible. But at the end of the day, I mean, shit, it's the floor, so ain't nobody gonna see it, so it just needs to be structural. So get you set up here. And I don't know how that angle's gonna look or whatever. We'll see what happens. Alright, and then I also got this welding rod, which you'll see me use for the sort of bigger horrible gaps. So this sort of helps fill in some of the bad gaps that I got, but we'll get after it. Alright, so I think we're pretty well good there with all the tacks. Yeah, I mean, from now it'll just be, using that filler rod to get in some of this terrible side, and probably some right there as well. And then I'll probably just get like a dull chisel and hammer that over, and same thing on the other end. So yeah, I think that's going to work out just fine. And then from there, I'll be, working on getting that L bracket, all that lined up. And then this is the motor mount. And so I'll use this as a guide to make sure everything's lined up in there. So here we go. Another one down. Catch you on the next one. Peace.